Okay, welcome everybody to our second live session for week one for DES 243 layout design. I'm your instructor, Shannon McNamara. Just a reminder about my telephone hours, roughly Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time to 4 p.m. Mountain Time, but you can email me anytime. Just please note that I am located on Eastern Standard Time Zone, so if you don't mind either texting or phone or calling during normal business hours, that would be great. However, you can email me anytime. Just know if it's kind of late at night, I probably won't be able to get back to you until first thing in the morning. So our agenda for today, I have a couple of announcements, not that many, to go over. And we're going to take a look at the week one assignment and the week one assessment. Also, a reminder on due dates. All assignments and assessments are due by Saturday at midnight for full credit. Again, remember to communicate with me regarding any late work. That'll save you some missed points. The week four assignments cannot be turned in late. If anything happens when you are trying to upload them, immediately email your files to me so I have them first thing in the morning. Also, we have a discussion post this week. That'll be due tomorrow at midnight, your first post. And then make sure that you're also responding to 2 of your fellow students by Saturday and posting on 2 different days. If you are late with your discussion post, I will only accept it 1 week after the deadline. And by deadline, I mean the Saturday deadline, not the Wednesday deadline. So our live sessions are Mondays and Tuesdays for this course at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. This gives you some ample time during the week to get those assignments done. And if you do need any outside help, the Student Success Center is open with tutoring available and no appointment is necessary. And our Learning Coaches flyer is in the announcements. Make sure that you're reading the announcements for this course, which is a good segue to go into that. So you can see in the announcements, I have posted yesterday's live session and the slides for you. Also, I had a quick little topic on file management. You know, file management is really crucial in graphic design, you know, not just while you're in school, but when you're working in the field, if you own your own business, if you do freelance, everything. It's so important to keep yourself organized. So each mod, you should have one designated folder for that mod and then a designated folder for the course that you're in. And inside there should even be a folder for each week. This will ensure that you're packaging your files directly to the correct week and the correct assignment or assessment folder. And once they're packaged, you'll be able to find that folder and zip them for grading. So it really, if everything goes into your downloads folder, that is not the correct way to work. If everything goes onto your desktop, again, not the correct way to work. You know, everything ends up everywhere, and you're more likely to submit the wrong file or the wrong folder, you know, because everything starts to look like it has the same naming convention after a while. So that's how I set up everything. You know, I can even show you. Here's my, you know, Mod 8. I'm teaching 2 different courses. I have DES 243 and I'm also teaching 355. If I kept everything together, that would be a mess. So I have my weeks 1 through 4. Inside of there, I have my discussion posts. I have some announcements and emails. I have my assessment I'm going to be working on, or my assignment I'm going to be working on, my assessment I'm going to be working on, and then where I plan on putting some of your work when it downloads, and I'm grading it. So you can see how I try to keep myself organized. I really do try to practice what I preach. Same thing for my MBA classes. I do the same exact thing. You know, Mod 8, here's my folders. Week 1, I've got my discussion going. I haven't worked on my assignment yet, but you can kind of see, you know, I put things together the same exact way for myself. And then that way I have all of my folders for each of the mods that I can reference if I need to go in and look for whatever it is that I need for that mod. It just makes it so much easier to find things. If you haven't yet, consider joining the Facebook group for the graphic arts community at Independence. It's a closed group, which is good. It's only, you know, fellow students that are allowed in that group. But, you know, you can really feel comfortable posting in there with your other IUGA students, and you can showcase some of your work. You can ask for a critique. You can ask for some extra help from people who might have been in a class before, you know, if you're looking for some ideas or something like that. It's just a great resource to, again, you know, when we're going to school online, trying to meet up with our fellow students. Oh, and my images, I'm having a problem with images. All the images are missing for me right now. I don't know why. I mean, we're missing. Oh, now they're showing up. They were all missing earlier on the desktop. Maybe, no, not happening. I'll try to go in and fix that. But there are the summer camp activities for this week. If you want to check them out, I can show you over here. Just go to my dashboard. Seeing as my picture isn't loading. So this was the picture. It's May 28th through August 18th. And for this mod 8, we have activity 9, activity 10, activity 11, and activity 12 that you guys can do. So there'll be winners for the activities, and in order to complete in order to compete, you need to have at least a C+ in your courses. It's kind of a little added bonus to do well in your course as well. All right, so let's get back into the slideshow for this week. So yesterday we talked a lot about understanding the topic that we're going to design, because it's, you know, it's kind of difficult to design something if we don't really know what it is that we are designing. So the first thing we have to do is we need to read over what the client sent us. You know, that's going to help us to pick appropriate artwork. It's going to help us to pick an appropriate font choice. It's, you know, there's a lot of different things that, you know, we should do, and a lot of different reasons why we should read over the ad copy. What if our client has errors in it? We should fix those errors for them. You know, they might have sent over the ad copy, you know, typed it out themselves, but they're prone to having to making mistakes too, and it looks so much better on us if we can catch those mistakes for them. So, and also, you know, you should know what it is that you're designing. It's really an essential part of your design strategy, and it's definitely the first step in the publication process. So you want to carefully plan to be efficient with your production of any publication. That's going to make the whole process easier. It's going to make it less stressful for you and less stressful for your client. You want to create a design strategy, and you want to think it through before you get going. You know, look over what it is you have. Try to figure out the best way, you know, to visualize the best way to lay it out. If you need to get out a piece of paper and sketch it out on a piece of paper, do that. If you need to open up an InDesign document and just start building blocks to see where things maybe should go, try that as well. I mean, you have lots of different options that you can do. So, you know, that design strategy, it's a lot more than just inspiration or your great idea. It's about understanding those basics that we went over yesterday, applying those principles of design, the CRAP principles of design, and then having a well-defined grid structure, because that's going to enhance your visual hierarchy as you're planning. And it's really the key to an efficient production of any publication. And again, it's going to make the whole process easier, and it's going to be less stress for you and less stress for your client. So we went over those principles of design: C for contrast and color contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. And then we went over yesterday, you know, adding things to the Adobe Creative Cloud libraries, you know, adding assets to it so we could reuse those assets, and keeping our graphics up to date with linked assets, and having our color schemes in there by using Adobe Color. We also went over, you know, putting together either paragraph or character styles. Which one should we be using? And you know what, sometimes it's a bit of a hit or miss. You know, I'll be doing something and I'm like, oh, I think I need a character style for this, and it ends up I need a paragraph style, so I have to kind of change it up on the fly. And again, going over that Adobe Color. So just a reminder for this week, I went over this yesterday, I'm going to be using the Remodeler for my demo in this class. So if your design copies my design, points will be taken off. And if you're worried that you won't be able to kind of unsee my design, I would suggest that you pick one of the other two magazines. The reason why I picked the Remodeler magazine out of the three is it just seems like in the past, that's the one that students seem to have picked the least. Everybody really likes to use the healthy eating one, and everybody seems to like to use the fitness one. I've only seen maybe one or two of the Remodeler ones come across my desk. So that was my thinking behind this. And then for assessments, we're going to be talking about some grids. Grids. And we're going to be using a grid in our assignment too. But we'll get to the assessment after. Let's hop back into our course and take a look at our assignment again. We kind of went over it briefly yesterday, but I want to really delve into the how-to of this assignment. So let's read over our background again. Today, working in a fast-paced world of publishing, producing magazines and meeting tight deadlines is a continuous challenge. Careful planning is key to the efficient production of any publication, making the whole process easier and less stressful for the designer and the client. We keep kind of hammering that point home. Understanding the topic you are about to design is an essential part of your design strategy and the first step in the publication process. A vital part of any publication process is to have an insight or design strategy. You know how various stories are laid out and arranged in the magazine. Creating a design strategy is about more than inspiration or a great idea. It's about understanding the basics, applying a well-defined grid structure to enhance visual hierarchy, correctly understanding and utilizing the principles of design so that your multi-page layout will hold interest and command attention. Contrast is used to emphasize or highlight key elements within your composition. Contrast helps to organize your layout and show which elements are most important to enhance visual hierarchy. Repetition strengthens a multi-page layout by tying together individual elements. Repeating design elements and consistent use of paragraph and character styles, grids, colors, and shapes within your composition unifies the design. Alignment creates a visual connection with all elements in your page layout. Alignment helps to organize and communicate the information and make it more professional looking. Proximity organizes information by grouping related elements together or in close proximity. When several items are near each other, they become one visual unit rather than several separate units, which helps organize the page layouts and improve readability. Typically, the first article to appear in the magazine is the editor's letter. It's a welcoming letter from the editor-in-chief, which covers a central theme in the issue and can contain some thoughts about the topics the magazine covers in general. To ensure correct placement of this and additional articles, the designer may create a simple diagram of small thumbnails organizing each story according to the structure of the magazine, cover pages, table of contents, feature and support articles, allowing the designer to see any flaws in the rhythm and flow of the magazine. Ultimately, many designers skip one crucial part of the publication process before starting the layout, and that is to read the copy. So why is it so important to read each article? So you understand the key concepts in the article. Reading the article will help with text formatting, knowing where to place bullets, etc. Selecting images that complement the story and work well with the text and may even spark some creative ideas. As you can see, understanding the topic you are about to design is part of your design strategy and is crucial for multi-page layout and plays a prominent role in your workflow and should not be neglected. Jumping into the multi-page layout without a design strategy and with little understanding of the many articles involved is a mistake. Ignoring this opportunity will prolong the multi-page layout process. Utilizing principles of design, the visual hierarchy will suffer, and this is never an ideal situation in the fast-paced world of magazine publishing. So that's our background for this week. Here's our prompt. Welcome to the exciting world of publishing. Acme Media Group has hired you to become the newest member of their creative team. So for the next 4 weeks, you will be responsible for preparing and producing the visual layout of an 8-page magazine using the power of InDesign. This week, you will begin production on your magazine, starting with creating a design strategy, utilizing the principles of design, contrast, alignment, repetition, and proximity, as well as applying a well-defined grid structure that will lay down the foundation for preparing the editorial article for placement in the magazine. So again, you need to choose one of the magazine options below, and you can't switch between week 1 and week 2, week 2 and week 3, and also all content can only be used for school projects and cannot be reused for other projects. So inside each of the files that you can download, and the download is available as a link right here. When you see the name of the magazine, that's a hyperlink to download that content. There'll be a magazine flag, that's the logo, a list of articles, a table of contents, an editorial article, and a feature article. So like I said, I'm doing the remodeler one. So here's our instructions for this week. Our pages need to be 8.5 by 11, portrait, with facing pages selected in InDesign. We need to have 8 pages total. And here's our article placement. The editorial article is going to begin on page 2, which is our inside front cover, and allow for space for the table of contents to be created in week 4. So that means I need to think about where that table of contents is going to go in my article. I have to leave room for that. I need to create a master page and define a well-defined grid structure to enhance my visual hierarchy. I need to add page numbers. I need to create paragraph styles, and there should be a title, a subheading, a body copy, and author byline. I need to use all the copy provided for my editorial and use all the images provided for the editorial article. And again, additional images are not approved. So you can't go looking for, a background image or something like that. That's not approved. Apply the principles of design, contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. And I need to use linked text frames to connect that copy from page 3 to page 7. Which, wait a minute, we're starting in on page 2. Editorial copy from page 3 to page 7. So this may span 3 pages is what this looks like. Next, we're going to package our file. We're going to save it as a zip file, which will be compressing it. And then we're going to make sure it's named appropriately. So DES 243, assignment 1, first and last .zip. So the file below shows some A-level work by students. So we'll just take a peek. And again, you can't copy these either. No copying this week. So here we have page 2 to page 3. So I'm not sure. Article placement, the editorial article, page 7 continues. I'm thinking page 7, I think that there's a typo here, that page 3 to page 7 will be one of your other articles, or we might, page 2 to page 7. There's definitely a typo here. I'm just looking to see, it looks as though we go from page 2 and continue to page 7. So we're not putting it between pages 2 and 3. We are putting it from page 2 and continuing it to page 7. So right here, that should be a number 2, and I will try to have somebody fix that for us. I'm going to make a quick note. Should go from page 2 to page 7. So I'm going to see if I can try to get that fixed today. This is week 1 assignment. All right. So I apologize for that. As I'm reading it, I'm like, this isn't right. All right, so we can look at the other one, and I'll just double check that the other one has the same exact preview. It should go from 2 to 7. 2 to page 7, yes. All right, there we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So I will try to have that fixed today, that wording. I know that that can get to be a little bit confusing when things are worded incorrectly. So I do apologize. I didn't notice that yesterday. All right, so like I said, I have downloaded the Remodeler magazine, and that's the one that I'm going to be working on. So right here in my week 1, I have my assignment folder, and I've unzipped the Remodeler magazine. I have some editorial images right here. I have feature images, and those must go with my other article. So I'm not really going to concern myself too much with that right now. And then I have my flag, which has the logo on a black background, and then the black and white version of the logo. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my editorial article. And I'm opening it up in Word, and there's a reason for that, because I can see already when I open this up where the red underline is that my article has some spelling errors in it. So I really need to fix those. So I'm going to right click, and it's going to show me what it should be spelled as. I'm going to fix that one right there. Dissatisfactions, fix that. Master suite, suite was spelt wrong. Moving is spelt wrong. House is spelt wrong. Brand, rarely. And this happens. This is going to happen when you see ad copy. And kids room should have the apostrophe at the end. There we go. Let's see if I see anything else. So it looks as though this article is whether or not a person should stay in their house that they're in now and remodel it, or possibly sell it and buy a new house. We're always going through this. We're trying to figure out what we should do. Should we stay or should we go? We tend to move a lot. So this article really resonates with me. So I'm going to kind of skim over it. It seems that there is going into how families change, children can move out though, should you move or remodel? And then we have moving, a pros list and a cons list. And then I have remodeling, a pros list and a cons list. And then I have a little conclusion that I'll get into. So that's what my article is going to be on today. Let's take a look at what I have for images. And I'm going to want to open up these images and make sure that they're 300 DPI and that they are CMYK because this is a print magazine. So I'm going to open these up in Photoshop. So if you have kids, we've probably all been here. And if you're going to live through a remodel, that looks like a nice remodel. I don't think mine would be that nice. All right, so I need to change this to CMYK. Okay, and double check my image size. It's only 120. So I want to make sure that this is 300 DPI, which is going to then bring my size down to about 7.3 by 4.9. So again, something to consider. A little bit smaller of an image. And then I'm going to save this. And then for this one, I'm gonna make it CMYK. And my image size, this is already 300 DPI. So that's great because this one's 14 inches by 9 inches. So I've got a nice big image here. I want to look at this one again. I'm not really happy with the color of this grass, so let me see if I can kind of fix that a little bit with my, try my curves tool first. Probably add. Brighten that up a little. Just seems a little cold. There we go. It's a little bit better. And pull up the levels. Seemed like it lost a lot of its saturation. There we go. Yeah, a little bit more green in. And I'll save that again. So again, sometimes you might have to just color correct things a little bit. I'll close both of these. I don't know who's having a worse day in this image, the dad or the child. And not for nothing, but mom totally has it under control over there. If that's the mom, that might also be the older sister. Either way, somebody over there completely has it under control. All right, so let's hop into InDesign and let's set up our document. So, need a new document. I like to work right off of the assignment instruction. So 8.5 by 11 portrait. Might be helpful to go to print. Just go to 8.5 by 11. I want facing pages and I need 8 of them. It doesn't give me margins, you'll notice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my margins at 0.5. We don't have a bleed, it doesn't say. Some magazines don't. So I'm not going to add a bleed. But one thing I'm going to do right off the bat is I want this to be a 4-column design. And I want my columns to be at least a 1/4 inch in between. And the reason why is I feel like a 4-column design gives me a good grid structure right off the bat, and I can kind of go to, you know, I can do 2 and 2, I can do 3 and 1, I can do 4. It just gives me, you know, some versatility to work with. So I'm going to create that. And take a look, close that up a bit. Perfect. Wanna nest, I guess, my swatches in with my CC libraries over here. I've got so many things open. Definitely gonna need my character and paragraph styles. I'm gonna really need that right now, but close these out. Myself a little bit of room. Got my pages, my layers, my links. Stroke and color are over here. Alignment, I'm always looking for that tool. I like to drag out my character and my paragraph tools and just kind of leave them over here so I know where they are. Because I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the sidebar over here that Adobe started doing a couple of updates ago. It used to be that this was the whole page and you just kind of had floating um, folders that you could work with, but I felt like you had more room. And I get why they started to nest them over here, but I miss it. I miss having more room. All right. So again, I really need to think through my design. So this is a remodeling magazine. So let's look at all of the different images that I have. Even though I am not using these ones right now, I see like a lot of browns, that's a really good red color. There's a lot of like good colors going on in this picture right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an Adobe color scheme, I think, based off of this floor plan picture, because I have a lot of good colors going on there. Not that my Totoro color scheme isn't, awesome and all, but I'm going to make a new color scheme for this magazine. So I'm going to go to Adobe Color, color.adobe.com. Again, make sure you're logged in, and I want to import an image. And mod 8, week 1, my assignment, and it's the feature image floor plan. See how easy it was for me to find that because I knew exactly where it was? Floor plan, come on. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna grab a brown. I like the idea of this red, this kind of terracotta red right here. And I do like this orange. I kind of like these three things going on. Be a nice gray. Seems like an odd choice, but sometimes you kind of need a gray. And then this deep purple. It's kind of interesting. I think I want to make the brown a little bit of a lighter brown, though. Feels like there's just too much dark going on there. I'll stick with the orange. Maybe for the gray, maybe lighter gray. And I can switch it up a little bit by coming over to the color wheel, lightening up that gray, lightening up that brown. I think these two work well together. And then maybe just darkening the purple just a smidge. So we'll see how that works. And I'm going to save this. Oh, and I remember I went over this yesterday. I said, oh, it's going to put it in the last place. So save a copy. Let's see where. Oh, here we go. I'm going to name this Remodeler in DES 243, which luckily was the same folder I created yesterday. And DES 243, where are you? Not on this page. Why are you not on this page? Do I have to keep scrolling? Probably. Oh, here you are. 243. So I'm going to delete that old one, and I'm actually going to delete this color scheme so I don't get confused. Just leave the one that I made. Go back in, and might need to give it a moment. And that's all that's there. All right, perfect. Perfect, perfect. So I'm going to, again, I'm going to right click and I'm going to add my theme to my swatches. And it's going to add them as CMYK as RGB. So I got to go in and fix that. Hold down Shift, grab them all. And right click, and I want to go to swatch options. And change that to CMYK and hit OK. And I can drag my theme up to the top. Oh, well, it should let me. Come on. I don't know why it doesn't do that. Oh, it'd let me if I dragged all of the individual colors up to the top. But I think what I might just do is just trash these colors that kind of came with the default swatches. So now I have, you know, white. I don't like that they call it paper. I mean, I get it, but there was I feel like there's like you can't use registration in lieu of using black, you know, so I think that they should have named white as a color, because it used to be that paper acted differently, and you can see it doesn't show up as a swatch. So I'm going to make a new swatch because I feel like this is something that you should do. I'm going to name it white and say okay. And now it's a swatch. See how it's different? Because paper is just like the background of the paper. It's not an actual color. And sometimes when things are sent to prepress, if their software is old, it doesn't recognize it as being white, that it needs to you know, block out the color from going there. It just looks at it as, oh, the paper will shine through. And sometimes it just doesn't read it correctly on the, won't read the plates correctly when they separate. So I think it's a really good idea to always make a white swatch and use that instead of using the paper. And yes, they do both have the same CMYK breakdown, but this one shows up as a swatch. So just something to consider. All right, so next what I want to do is I'm going to go to my master pages because I need to set up my folio, which is my page numbers for my for this document. So I'm going to open up master pages, and those are set up as side-by-side pages as well. And this technically is page 2, and this technically is page 3. And now that I'm looking at that, where I am going to put a folio, I'm actually going to edit my my margins. I want to make my bottom margin a little bit bigger to accommodate that folio. So I am going to need to change it on both pages, just to let you know. No, undo. So I'm going to make it 0.5, 0.75, 0.5, and 0.5. And then I'll have to do it over here as well. And you notice I had to double click to get it onto this page. Oops, 0.75. And that's going to accommodate my folio at the bottom, so I don't feel like it's running too close to the bottom edge. And to make a folio, you probably did this way back when in DES 114. I feel like that's the first place that we start making folios. But what you want to do is you're going to need to draw a text box and go to type, insert special character, markers, current page number. And it's going to add the letter A. And our default right now, I haven't changed my font or anything, and it's just set at Mini and Pro, but I definitely do not want this set at Mini and Pro. I need an easy to read font, so I think that a serif font is the way to go, but Mini and Pro is just your default font that comes with InDesign. So I'm going to change this to Garamond. And then I'm going to make a copy of it. And there's two ways you can make a copy. You can do edit, copy, and paste. Or you can hold down the Option key and start to drag. And as you drag over, hold down Shift. And it'll drag it nice and in a row. And drag it right over to this edge. And then you can right justify it for this folio. And if we go to page 2, we can see page 2. And page 3 are right there. And then the other thing that you can even do, if you want to get super technical, which I love super technical when people get super technical, expand your text box all the way down to the bottom. And then we're going to vertically align our text. So I gotta find, because I swear they keep changing where they put things. It used to be you had to select the text box with the black arrow tool. It used to be over here. Nope. Balance, unbalance. Object. Paragraph. It's a weird setting, and it used to be up at the top. It was lined, so you could just pick the lines of where you wanted it. I'm gonna have to look it up, aren't I? Because I want it vertically aligned in the text box. So InDesign, vertically align text in the frame. Create a text box, Control B to open the text frame option. So that must be Command B. Command B. All right, text frame options, there we go. And vertical justification, I want it to be centered. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Just gonna bring that text box down. Command B, I guess, which is text frame options. I bet you that's up in type. It's in one of these. And center. And again, I have to be on the black arrow to do this. So now it's nicely centered in this area. So my text isn't gonna, things that are at the bottom of the page aren't gonna come right up and hit it. You could even, I'm just giving you lots of different options of how you can set things up. You could even get more technical and, center it vertically at a 1/4 inch up. So where that original margin might have been, where did it have been? Right here. And center it vertically in this area to still give yourself the margin. I mean, you can get pretty technical with that. And actually, I kind of like that better. I also hate that when you're working in spreads, you'll hear me tell you all the little things that I hate about InDesign. I really do love InDesign, but sometimes I'm like, all right, listen, guys, if we did this, it would make it so much better. Why can't the rulers go across the 2 pages if I'm working in spreads? Why do I have to then add a second ruler on this page, right? Right. All right, I'm gonna save my document, even though I haven't done a whole lot of things. You know, it's really good to save and save often. So I'm gonna grab my naming convention, paste it in, try to spell my name correctly, and then make sure I'm saving it in the correct folder. And I'm just gonna kind of save it outside that Remodeler magazine folder right now, because when I package it, it's gonna put it in its own folder. Perfect. So the next thing I need to do is I need to start thinking about fonts. I need to have a title, a subheading, my body copy, and then my author byline. So I'm going to use Adobe Typekit for this, and I can never remember what the URL is for it. Typekit.com. That was easy. Nope, I just want to go to regular old Typekit. There we go. I was like, what's the Adobe Typekit URL? It's typekit.com, Shannon. All right, so for my my headlines, my main headlines, I want something that kind of feels like a home improvement, a remodeler type of font. So let me look again at my logo. Like, that's fun. Like, see how it's a nice slab serif? I really like that. So I'm going to kind of look through some slab serifs and see if I see anything I like. I don't want it to clash, though, with the font that I have right here. So that might be a concern, because I don't want to have two really similar fonts. That could be kind of cool. That's the free one. Remodeler. There we go. So I'm gonna heart that one. I'm also gonna look at some decorative ones, but that can get a little too crazy, you know, like that's just way too much. Nobody would be able to read that. That doesn't have a remodeling feel. That could be kind of cool. Very geometric. Um, like, I feel like that's just too retro for what I'm doing. Although this one was kind of, again, it's like a little too close to the logo without being the logo font. So these are kind of the decisions you have to, or the things you have to look at when you're trying to fix a font, pick a font. That's almost cool, but I really don't like the L. I used to have this great font that looked like it was a very like, it had like the arrows, like it looked like it was sketched out, like an architect had sketched it. It was just really, really cool. And I don't even know what it was called at this point. I used it so many years ago. I don't even know how to go about finding it other than doing a search for like architectural fonts. Um, I wonder if I could do a search for that. Let's see. Archetype. Let's see. What's that? Nope. I don't feel as though Adobe Typekit has really good metadata where you can do a search and have something come up. Unfortunately, sure. Font families. Sorry. See what I mean? Like their metadata kind of stinks. Well, let's look at the fonts I liked. Again, where's my favorite fonts? Where are the fonts I favorited? They keep changing things, and it hasn't made it any easier. My synced fonts were my fonts that I just liked. Nope. Really, Adobe? Count. Do I have to go back to where I was? They used to show up. Oh, favorites. Yeah, that was intuitive. Oh, all right. I did not like this one. I don't know where that just came from. It's definitely not one of the ones that I liked. I like that one, and I could have sworn that there was a decorative one that I liked. Oh, you have to go to them individually. That sounds about right. I'm gonna try this one. I'll do a sync all. And my 3 fonts were added. Apparently I still have to update stuff. I forgot to do that yesterday. All right, so that's for my headline. And I think what I'm going to use for my body copy is a sans serif font, and I'm going to use the same family of sans serif fonts for the subheadline, the body copy, and the author byline. I'm just going to change it up a little bit because then I have 2 fonts plus the logo, and I think that that's really enough because I do have that, you know, the folio as its own font as well. And you know, I can actually check out that the remodeler font that I just added and see if that would maybe work for the folio. Let's look. Go to Typekit. I don't even remember what that was just called. Oh, Variix. Whoops, I only changed it on one. My bad. Probably do light, not bold. Just want to make sure that the numbers don't get too weird or difficult to read. All right, so that kind of works. And you will notice that it added a page number to page 1, and it added a page number to page 8. Page 1 is going to be our cover, and page 8 is going to be our back cover. So chances are good we are not going to have page numbers on there. I'm not going to take care of that now. I'm just gonna kind of stick to the assignment as it is right now. But just keep that in the back of your head that you would need to override your master pages on page 1 and page 8 when we get to that point, which again will not be this week, so don't worry. All right, so I need to have my text go from page 2 to page 7. It's going to continue, it's going to finish up on page 7, my my article. So I have a 4-column design right here. I'm going to need to have a headline for my article, and then I have 2 different images. So chances are good I'm going to put an image on each page. You know, one on page 2 and then one on page 7. And what my thinking is right now is that I'm going to use the big image, the one that seems to be, can span all 4 columns, just based on the size on page 2. And I'm probably going to use that smaller image on page 7. The other thing I need to take into consideration on page 2 is that I need to have a table of contents. So how do I want my table of contents to be set up? What's even in my table of contents? Let's look. I have, you know, kind of, I have some more spelling errors. So I'm going to fix that while I'm in here, even though I'm not working on it this week. Oh, Bayforth, that's her name. So I have inside this issue, you know, the name of the article, a little blurb about the article, and then who it's by, name of the article, little blurb, who it's by, name of the article, little blurb, name of the article, little blurb. So I've got a good deal of content on my table of contents. So I really need to kind of keep that in mind. I might need 2 columns to do my table of contents. Maybe I just want to run it at the bottom portion of my page. So these are kind of the things that I need to be thinking about when I add that table of content in, and I start adding in my other content. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing some text boxes, and I'm going to just go from one edge to the other. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I'm holding down the Option key, and I'm just making a copy of the 4 text boxes. You can choose to draw 4. You can do the same thing. You can copy and paste. And then I'm guessing when I get down to page 7, I don't know if I will need all of these, all 4 columns. So I'll just put in 4 columns right now, and then I can always delete out some text boxes if I don't need it, or, you know, leave them in if I do need them for something else. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And I need these to link to each other. So in order to get that to happen, I need to start copying and pasting my text from my editorial into that text box. I'm going to leave this out. I'm not copying and pasting this in because I know that I'm gonna, you know, design my headline and my subheadline and, you know, the authors differently than I'm going to do the text for my body copy. I'm going to give you a hint too. Remove, if you can, remove the bullet points in Word before you get started. Just take them out, because what's going to end up happening is when you copy and paste things in, it's going to end up doubling up those bullet points in InDesign, and it's really annoying because then you have to go in and you have to delete the extra bullet point, or you have two side by side. So it just seems like it's a lot easier to delete the bullet points right here in Word before you copy and paste your text in. It's just going to save you some time. I've learned this from many years of having to import text from Microsoft Word. Oh, cons. We only need no S here. There we go. I almost missed that. Cons. All right, so I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go over into InDesign, and on page 2, in my first text box, I'm going to paste it in. It's only going to go into one column. So what I need to do is, with my black arrow, I need to click on the plus sign and link it to the next column. Click on the black arrow. Click on the plus sign, link it to the next column. Click and link. And then when I get to page 4, hold down my space key to get my hand and go to this one. And you may say to yourself, oh, there's not a lot of, stuff here. But don't forget, we still need to fit in that table of contents. We need to fit in some images. We have a whole lot of stuff that we have to actually fit in. So this isn't going to stay exactly how it looks right now. Also, this font isn't going to stay exactly how it looks right now. What I'm going to do is I am going to use the font Source Sans Pro. And I need to pull out my character and my paragraph styles. Just bring them over here. I like to set them up that way. Don't ask. It's just when I'm working quickly, I know which side is which. All right, so I'm going to think about my body copy first. So I'm going to create a new style. I'm going to double click. I'm going to name it body copy. And my basic character formats, I'm going to use the font. Where are you? Source Sans Pro, regular, 12 point over 14 point. And I'm going to select all my text right now and change that to body copy. And we'll see. And I think I might need character formats. I think maybe 15 point. A little bit more space. And here you can see how I gotta go into the next text box there. And now that I think that is gonna work. Yeah, that looks good. I want to set up my baseline grid. So baseline grids can be a little bit weird to work with, not gonna lie. You want to go to preferences and go down to grids. And your increment every needs to match the leading on your body copy. All right, so where mine is set at 12 over 15, I need my increment every to be 15 point. I want to start at 0.25, I believe, because that's where my margin is relative to the top of the page. And I want to uncheck grids in back. And sometimes you have to change the threshold to like 60% so it shows up. Because the default in InDesign is to not be able to see your baseline grid, which literally makes 0 sense. And then hit OK. And you're still going to have to probably zoom in. Oh, it didn't show. Oh, wait, view. Grids and guides. Show baseline grid. There we go. And then I'm going to need, all right, so this is a bit off. Preferences, units, and whoops. Grids. Every 15 point, start at relative to top margin. Right. And then I'm going to need to tell my body copy that I want it to adhere to my grid. So I got to find where that is in here. Align to grid, all lines, and hit OK. There we go. And now it's sitting on the grid just like it's on lined paper. Perfect. However, when I'm putting together my subheadlines and my headlines, I'm going to probably not want them to align to the grid because I'm going to be moving some stuff around. So you want to kind of keep that in mind. All right. So what was that font I needed? All right, stay or go. This is going to be my headline. And chances are good I'm going to want to run this across most of the top of the page. Um, 2 inches, there we go. So I'm going to move my text boxes down to the 2-inch line. I might need to move them again. And I'm going to draw my text box and just paste in that text. And I need to make a new paragraph style. And this one is going to be headlines. And I want to base it on no paragraph style right now. And that is going to be that. I keep going to call it Veritech because that was the name of a company I work for, but it's Very X font. And let's see. I don't know if I like that font now. That might be a little, it's a little too hard to read. I'm not happy with that font. Best laid plans, right? What were my other ones I liked? Let's take a look. Browse. Favorites. I feel like I should probably put in. Nope, I don't like any of those. Oh, I just worry that that's going to be too close. That might work. I'm not usually a fan of handwritten fonts. Oh, and that it might work because you have to pay for it. That's why I like it. I always find the ones that aren't free that I like. There's a way to, or there used to be a way that you could default to only include free ones. However, Adobe was like, ha 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 ha, no. Let's see. That might work. Let's try this one. Come on. There we go. So that was, what was that called? Scriptorama. And I don't want to align to the grid. Okay. Yeah, that might work. Then I need a subheadline. I'm going to base my subheadline off of my body copy. So I'm going to make new style, double click on this. I call this one subheadlines. It's going to be based on my body copy. And it's going to be Source Sans Pro bold. Probably 16/19, I'm thinking. I'm going to tell this not to align to the grid. And okay. And then I also need the author byline. Again, I'm gonna go off of my body copy for that one. I think I'm just gonna do the same size but italicized. Maybe a little bit bigger. Maybe a semi-bold italic. We'll say 14-point type over 17. And again, I don't want to align that to the grid. So let's grab these. You can see I need to, all right, so how to decide whether to relocate. By Amanda Oswald. And then I need to have a little bit more space between these items. And I think my subheadline might be able to be, I'll leave it at 16 for now. If I need to change it, I need to change it. And I need to also think about some colors. So I like the idea of maybe my subheadlines having colors, but then my headline staying black. So thinking of making my subheadlines that deep burgundy color. And then maybe having the author byline be the gray, but I think that gray is going to be too light. So I'm thinking I got to change up this gray, maybe make it a little bit darker. Yeah, that could look really nice together. All right. And click on this, paragraphs. Maybe doing a rule below to, sometimes that's a bit too much, but we can try it. Color is text color, width is column. I'll move these to a different text box. Oops, there we go. And kind of keep everything within this area. All right, so I like the idea of kind of taking my pros and cons lists and setting them up a specific way. But I need to see, all right, I got to think about that table of contents has got to fit in here. So maybe my table of contents, I'm just kind of going to black out an area right now. For it. About 2 inches maybe. Again, drag these text boxes up. Height is 6.14. I'll just change that on all these. And I have some subheadlines I have to add in as well. You know, this is probably a subheadline, this is a subheadline, this is a subheadline. And I have some bullet points too. So that's not really a subheadline, but I feel like it should be, bold. So I'm going to make a new style. I'm going to name it pros and cons. And it's going to be exactly like my other style. It's just going to be bold. Again, I'm going to keep my information together. Subheadline. And then in conclusion, I'm going to add the pros and cons as well, just to kind of bold it a little bit. All right, so I need to add in one of my images. So I'm going to try first to place maybe an image right in this area, and we'll see how that works. Images, editorial images. I'm going to add that kids and toys one. And go to that up here. And I might even want to add a drop cap for the first letter. Whoops, I need to move that. For the first letter as well. So that would be another style. Again, based on my body copy. So drop cap. I want to go 3 lines and 1 character. Oh, where did I put that? Did I not name it? That's why I didn't name it. Let's rename it. Or I could even, if I wanted to get fancy, use the font I used for my headline, which was something. Scriptorama. Let's try that. No, oh, that's right. I'd have to, that's not gonna work. All right, so this is starting to come along. Spanning, as you can see. The 4. Maybe I do my last image over here. Don't know, let's see. I can make this work by removing some of these returns and instead adding in paragraph spacing. That might be one way to do this. Or to just adjust. No. Might need to adjust my font. I'll go back down to, really want to break the grid here. I really want this one to, you just crop them down a little. Oops. That was not what I meant to do. There's a lot of space between here and here. So let me look at my subheadline space. All right, that's what I want to do. Gonna remove, I'm gonna make, don't want to drop cap there. So I'm just trying to figure out my spacing. where was I? Space after 0.0625. No. 0.0625. Oh no, did I do what I just think I did? Yep, I did. I changed it all back. Ah! Oh, I almost missed a subheadline. So something in all right, that's a little bit better. And no. I'm wondering if 15 is just too much. Let's see. Might need to be 14. Just might need to go to 14, get it to work. See, it's never, one thing and then you're done. Think though, I'm gonna bump this down just enough, get that up onto this line. Again, my proximity. Then I can bring them down. And again, you want to kind of make sure your hyphens, move. Whoops. Wrong button. Whoa, what did I do? There we go. Bring words down to the next line that they might need to go to. Open this image up a little. And I'm only at 49%, so I can kind of scale them a little. Again, make sure you're proportionally scaling all of your images. And then the little things, make sure it goes right down to the edge on all sides. Let's save this. Oh, turn there that I didn't need. So bump this line up a little bit again. A little bit more room. Perfect. And then I don't like how property is on its own line right here. So I'm going to move the word or. I'm hitting shift enter, by the way, so I don't have a full return. Cash, equity, property, maybe many. Equity, a new property. That's a much better rag right there. And I'm not super psyched that, you know, I don't have all of this together, but I think it works. And I might look at putting, you know, maybe a color block behind my pros and cons or something. Possibly to make that part stand out. I don't know. I don't know. Let's think. Or I can close this up to here. But then consider the following on page 7. I feel like there should be a on page 7, and we might add that. We're gonna get crazy for a second, so hold on. Whoops. Just thinking and working out loud here. That could work too. Pros, cons, remodeling, pros, cons. That might work. A little bit different. Kind of break up the monotony. Then I can look at doing something maybe like this. Whoops, wrong box. I hate the default to a black background. A black border drives me bananas. No, now we're just getting a little crazy. A little bit difficult to read. All right, so this could work. I mean, and there's no saying that I might need to change this later on, but right now I'm feeling kind of confident in it, in this decision. So I'm going to save this. And I'm going to package my file. Make sure I don't have any errors that come up. Make sure I'm putting it in the right place. And I want to include a PDF, a high quality print. Go. And I'll close this. And double check that everything is in my folder. So want to double check the InDesign file, make sure everything still looks right. Want to double check my PDF file, make sure nothing fell off. Page 1 is blank. Page 2. And page 7. Then I'm going to zip this. So I'm going to right click or control click on it and compress. And submit your zip folder. And what you can even do is you can do a, choose your zip folder and upload it, and then click add another file and choose just that PDF that's inside of your zip folder and upload both of those together. And then I can do that mocking up right on your PDF so that way you can see. It might be a little bit easier for you to see what I'm talking about if I can mock up your PDF file and then hit submit assignment. Again, make sure that you've read over the rubric. Did you follow the instructions? Did you submit it on time? Did you have a proper use of InDesign, including the master pages? Did you define a grid structure and page numbers, paragraph styles? Is your concept clear? Do you have a design strategy? Can I tell what your design strategy is? Do you have a color scheme, good type choices, a grid structure, overall layout that enhances readability? Do you have, your CRAP principles? Are they in there? Do you have a variety of ideas and concepts to reach this? There we go. Make sure you're making, you've done everything to get your full 120 points. All right, so let's look at the assessment now for week 1. The mysterious power of the grids. It's not very mysterious. It's just super helpful, there to help you out. I mean, I guess it can kind of be a mystery because InDesign doesn't make them very logical sometimes to work with. They're like the mystery of InDesign grids. All right, so our background for this assignment. Behind each well-designed document is an effective grid system. A grid can be simple, it can be complex. Each plays a significant role in generating cues for the placement of design elements in your document. Simply put, grids are an essential design strategy for organizing text and images, but they do so much more. Grids streamline the visual design process and give composition strength and structure. While grids aren't required for every project, they can definitely help you maintain consistency and organize elements efficiently and quickly, which makes it easier to communicate your message. Without a well-defined grid system, text and images are randomly placed in the document, nothing is consistent, and the end user will end up confused and frustrated. And we definitely don't want that. The key to defining a perfect grid structure is to understand your grid options. Fortunately, there are several InDesign tools you can use to provide as much or as little grid structure to your design project, as it requires. In InDesign's grid tools are InDesign's grid tools are divided into several areas. You have your ruler grids, your guidelines, your column grids, and your baseline grid. So the ruler grids, you can create a custom grid by just kind of dragging those guides from the horizontal and vertical rulers onto your document. You've probably done that, like dragged a ruler down, dragged a ruler over, and kind of dropped it where you need it. Then there's guidelines. That's creating a custom grid using the ruler guides one at a time, and it's time consuming if you're attempting to create a precise row and column on your page. Instead, you should have InDesign create a custom grid for you with the options for assigning an exact number of vertical columns and horizontal rows with an option for gutter width. So then you have your column guides. So column guides are the tool of choice for creating and maintaining columns of text. That's what we just did in the assignment. And then you have the baseline grid, which enables you to align your text and images effortlessly. So again, that's what we just did in the assignment. We set that up. And then you have your document grid, which is the default document grid, which resembles graph paper, and it overlays horizontal and vertical grid lines on your document. And if you've ever accidentally turned that on, it can sometimes be a little bit difficult to see. It's very distracting, but it can be really helpful too when you're trying to understand how to, customize something on your page. So as you get more familiar with using an effective grid structure, you will start to see how quickly you can create and maintain consistency on a page and enhance visual hierarchy within your design. For you, the designer, a well-defined grid can take the guesswork out of where to place elements on the page. Not only does a well-defined grid enhance visual hierarchy, but it also strengthens the principle of alignment by creating a visible connection with each element. Alignment helps to organize information to make it more professional looking. This means increased design confidence as well as more efficient workflow. So now that you're familiar with the several types of grids and you can differentiate between effective and ineffective grid use when communicating with the end user, and the end user is the people reading your design, basically, it's time to put your knowledge to the test. So for this assessment, you will redesign an existing advertisement using a well-defined grid structure to enhance visual hierarchy, differentiate between effective and ineffective grid use, and explore multiple options to amplify. Oh, I'm so sorry. My allergies are awful today, and when I can't breathe, I end up yawning. And explore multiple options to amplify and to improve your design concepts. Your grid should make the content easy for the end user to understand. So use your space well and keep in mind that there are many possibilities and viable solutions to this creative challenge. You can only use InDesign for this. You need to have an 8.5 by 11 portrait format and then download this folder right here. In the folder, you're going to find an example of the existing ad and the imagery used in the ad that you are redesigning. All the photos must be used, but you may crop or resize any photos. Also included in the folder is a Word document containing the text for this creative grid challenge. You must use all of the text in the Word document. Apply a well-defined grid structure to enhance your visual hierarchy. And you're going to export your file as a PDF, and you're only going to submit the PDF file. Even though you are saving your native InDesign file, I only want the PDF uploaded. So again, in week 1, make sure you have a folder called My Assessment, and this is your doc file. Why is eating fruit important? Why is it important to eat fruit? And you can see, all right, there it is, eating fruit. This is what the ad used to look like. So you are redesigning this ad and you're making a grid. Because you can kind of tell that it didn't have a grid. So I'm not going to really show you how I would design it because I really want you guys to do this one on your own, but I will kind of show you some ideas of getting that grid started again. So let's start with 8 columns this time. Like really break this bad boy down. And let me even edit it even more. Margins, columns. Maybe, hold on. Maybe 6. maybe 6. Yeah, 6 would be good. 8 was a bit too much. And then if you want to see the different views with the different grids, if you go down to view grids and guides, you can, again, show your baseline grid, show your document grid. This is where I said, you know, it gets to be a bit too much. You're like, whoa, that's a lot of lines everywhere. But you can kind of see where, all right, you know what, we've got some squares going on here. Like, let's zoom in a little. And I go from here to here. Oh, I hate the default of the black border. Oh, drives me bananas. I can start to see, all right, how do I set up, you know, I like to use squares for things. People think I'm crazy. And then I can drop a ruler. Maybe I'll do that again. Bring these ones down here and have two squares in between them. Drop another ruler. 2 squares in between them. Drop another ruler. Oh, I should have dropped a ruler at the bottom as well. So I'm kind of creating a vertical grid here. Drop a ruler on the top, drop a ruler on the bottom. And you can find examples online that will tell you how to do this automatically. I'm just kind of showing you a manual way. You know, make sure you're watching the readings and videos. But I think it's also good to kind of understand how to do things manually, not just have it done for you. Oh yeah. And I was a bit off on this one. And then I'm going to turn off my document grid. So you can see, kind of have a good grid structure going here. Oh, I should have drawn the squares at the bottom. Oh well. So now I've got kind of a good layout going. And the reason why I've made it kind of this, you can kind of see on this example. You can, you know, run some text over here. You can run text across. It's a good modular grid system where you can use big, you know, squares. You have some rows. You can have some columns. You can use you know, squares inside of the square. So it's kind of a good system to set up like this. I'm gonna draw those other ones that I missed. There. Last one. All right. So start to set up your grid this way, and then you can begin to import your images. You know, maybe your headline doesn't run all the way across. You know, maybe some of your images span 2 columns. Maybe some of them span 4 columns. Maybe some of them span 3 columns. You know, you can get really crazy with your design based on how complex you make your grid. And again, bring your images into Photoshop. Make sure that they're CMYK. They are not. They are RGB. So you're going to want to change those. Double check the DPI of them. They're only 240. Change them to 300. And save. Those grapes look so good. And they don't look like grapes. So they're definitely blueberries. And save, close, right, and bananas. So again, like I said, you can get really crazy importing in, some of these images. Week 1, assessment. Maybe bring in my bananas first. Maybe I go right here and kind of maybe I kind of like Brady Bunch this thing. And you can lock your guides too after you've done that, or lock your rulers. Where is it? Extras, ruler, grids and guides, lock guides. There we go. So you don't accidentally move them around. Oh. Grapes, blueberries. Oranges. Did I miss oranges? No, I must have opened them. I'm assuming. I can't remember color correcting them, but I'm assuming I did. I opened everything. Links, oranges. Yep, CMYK. Ugh, went to the wrong tool again. And strawberries. Scale it just a little bit to fit. All right, there we go. So again, you can kind of, maybe do something crazy and color block things with some information. I would probably use fruit colors. You could probably find actually on Adobe Color a fruit color scheme. There are color schemes. Sign in. Yes, I would like to sign in, hence saying sign in. If you explore fruit, this one, tropical fruit, let's save that to 243. That could be cool. Where'd my CC library go? Over here. Add theme to swatches. Change them. CMYK. So little things you got to just remember to do each time. The little steps. So maybe you have like a fun tropical smoothie type theme going on. Which color did I not use? Nope, I used that one. I used this one I didn't use. And you can see when you go into preview, like look at how like nice that feels. I actually want to move, I'm gonna reflect, transform, flip horizontal. these strawberries. Try to get rid of that extra space. It just felt like, you know, like it didn't, everything fit. Strawberries just a little bit bigger. Not, you don't want to go too much past, oh, come on. No, why? Fitting, where are you? Object, fitting. Holding down shift still wasn't working. So you can see just how nice that grid feels now, you know, doing something like this. So again, for this one, save. In your assessment folder. Package the file. Include your PDF. Now everything's all together. Oh, I think I packaged it by accident to my assignment, not my assessment folder. Whoops. Wasn't looking. I put it in there, move it over. Close that out. And again, double check everything. Even though you're not uploading the InDesign file, double check it. It doesn't hurt to look. And then you're gonna upload your PDF only. So make sure you just, everything looks good. Like if I opened that up and my ad was supposedly done and all of my text was missing, that would definitely be a problem. And then, where is, oh, here we go. Navigate over to your assessment and just grab the PDF file. If you try to upload anything but the PDF, it's not going to take it. All right, so I hope that this was helpful, you guys, and you got a lot out of the demos this week. If you have any extra questions, please feel free to email me, and you can always get in with the learning coaches this week as well. I hope you guys have a great week. I can't wait to see your ads and pages 2 and 7 of your assignment. And again, I'm going to try to get that verbiage fixed in the assignment so that way it's all set. It's all set for this, for when you guys go in to read it. All right, I will see you soon. Have a great rest of your week.